Hi, this is Loa of Activate Corporate Relations. We're an integrated marketing agency that helps our small to medium sized business clients to grow through digital media, print, and public relations. Today, I'd like to give you 10 tips that will help you to create a more successful web presence where you can then attract potential leads, turning them into long term loyal customers. Tip number one, know thy customer. The first thing that you need to do is have a solid understanding of who it is that you're selling to and what's most important to them in relation to the types of products and service that you offer. What do they read? What do they watch? Where do they listen? Where do they surf? Really understanding their buying habits in order to be able to tailor your messaging, whether that be visual or written, in a way that's going to land best with them. Okay, always start with your target audience in mind. Don't start with your product and service and work backwards. Think about what it is they want. You only have one chance to make a good first impression, so really make sure you invest in your online presence where your website's concerned. Ensure that you've hired professional designers and developers to put together a really strong website for you where both the visuals and the messaging really jumps off the page and speaks to the target customer. Nothing is worse than when you go to visit a website that looks like it was designed in the 90s, okay? It just shows that a company is not keeping up to date with current technology and its communications. So really make sure that you do this part well. Good functionality. What this means is you can have a really nicely designed site, but maybe the information is not quite so easy to find. You have to understand what your customer journey is, how they find your site when they land on your homepage, what type of information do they look for first. That will help you to create good functionality within the design and the development, the layout of your site. Now that over 50% of internet users are accessing the web from their smartphone or tablet, it's really important that you have a website that is mobile enabled or mobile responsive. What this means is that your website is optimized for a smaller screen size that shows only the essential content and some imagery. As you know, probably you've experienced, nothing is worse than when you go to a website from your smartphone and you have to try and blow up text or imagery or links to get the information you're looking for. So it's essentially a simpler version of your website that gives the user very easy access to the information they're looking for right away from their mobile device. We consume information differently on a larger screen than we do on a smaller screen. So that's why it's really important to ensure that you make this a priority. And also keep in mind that 6 out of 10 users will leave your site if it's not responsive to the mobile platform. Another way to enhance your website is to offer free information that's going to be valuable to your visitor. If you're, for example, selling a natural skincare line, then you could be providing tips on how to maintain youthful skin or how to protect your skin from free radicals. You could be putting out articles like that on your blog that's going to help position you as an expert in your field and provides additional value to customers when they're visiting your website. Also keep in mind that Google and other search engines love fresh content. So if you're writing articles that are keyword rich and you're putting them out in your blog and through your social channels, that's going to help increase traffic to your website and also position you as an expert in your industry with the customer. Okay, so just like every individual human being has a personality, so does every business. It's called a brand. A brand helps to show a culture, expresses your values, your mission, and it really helps to connect you with your target audience. Remember that we want to buy from people that we trust and who are like us. We don't want to buy from a cold corporate face. We need to connect with other real human beings that are behind the business. So, how are you showing your business's personality? Well, you can do it through fun animation, like the Fashion Awards Cleaners has done. You can do it through showing happy employees at work. You can do it by showing your company involved in community events. So it's really important that you connect with your target customer on your website by showing who you are as human beings behind the business. With over 80% of internet users now searching and sharing information on products, services, and topics that they're interested in, it's more important than ever that you have a presence in social media channels. And once you do, You have to make that easily visible from the homepage of your website so that people know that they can connect with you and have that two-way dialogue. Okay, so ensure that you have your social icons visible at either the top or bottom of the homepage of your website, and that you're giving people a reason to connect with you on social channels. So once you have a great website up and ready to go and it's mobile enabled, what do you do next? Well, it's one thing to have an online website, it's another thing altogether to have the traffic coming to your website. So how do you go about obtaining that? Well, it's really important that you have a search engine optimization and marketing strategy. So you've identified what keywords your prospective customers will be looking for in relation to your products and services, and you're using those keywords in all of your meta tags throughout your website content and throughout all the content that you're putting out to the public online. Okay, if this is something that you're not an expert at, make sure you hire someone to help you, because I cannot stress enough how important it is to show up on page one of Google or the other search engines for keywords that your prospective customers might be looking for. Okay, so once you have a website that looks great, is mobile enabled, is sticky, meaning that people are staying on the site and looking around at the information and they're liking what they're seeing because they're not bouncing off your site immediately. What do you do though if they're not in a position or they're not ready to buy right away? Well, you do not want them to leave your site because, as we all know as buyers, we have ADD. We will typically buy what's right in front of us when we have that impulse and we want to buy now. So it's important as a business that you are maintaining contact with people who do come to your website so that you can build relationships with them and then convert them to a customer. How do you go about doing that? Well, let's use Wine Liberty Teaberry for an example. You see here on the right-hand side, there are numerous ways that you can stay, as a prospective customer, you can stay in contact with the company. You can enter your email address and subscribe to their newsletter. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel. You can also access any of their social media channels easily from here. Or you can download a teaser of the book that he has published. So you can see that there's numerous ways to stay in contact. Now, one idea that you could do is in relation to offering free information that's downloadable, you could do some kind of a white paper. Let's use skincare again as an example of a company that you can maybe do a 10 tips on how to have beautiful skin. And you can make that downloadable where a prospect gives up their email address and in exchange for the downloadable white paper that they're going to hopefully find valuable. Okay, so that's one way that you can capture leads right from your website so that you can continue to communicate with people, build relationships that eventually turn into a sale. Okay, last tip I have for you. Make sure you have Google Analytics installed on your website. Very important. What this will help you do, once you get the code, give it to your web developer once you've signed up through Google, and he'll put the code on your website so that you can then log into your dashboard and find out various pieces of important information on how people are interacting with your website. So the types of information that you'll be able to access is how are people finding your site? What browsers are they using to land on your web page, for example, if they're doing searches? Is it a direct hit where somebody is referred to you, or they just heard your name and so they went and typed in your web address? Did it come from social media? This Google Analytics will help you to figure out what your customer journey is. And then once people are on your website, how much time do they spend on your site? You definitely want to make sure you have as low as possible bounce rate. What a bounce rate is if someone lands on your site, is that information relevant to them or not? Do they stay and look around, or do they leave right away? You want to make sure that your site is sticky and that it appeals to that particular target audience that is coming and visiting your website. Okay, so then you can also find out what pages people visit, so you know what your most popular pages are. You'll be able to see if they download certain pieces of information that you've made available. So it just really gives you a good overview and good analysis of how your website is performing. All right, and it usually takes once you set up the code in your site, it usually takes at least around 6 months to get a really good gauge of traffic to be able to analyze it. So that is the last tip I have for you. Enjoyed this presentation, and I would love to hear how you're making out with if any of these tips helped you, and if you have any questions or you want any further information on how you can increase the impact for your website and your company, please do feel free to call me at 604-687-2004, or you can email loa@activateinc.com. And of course, I highly recommend and invite you to join me in our social media channels. Okay, so twitter.com, our handle is at Activate Inc., and same with Facebook, Activate Inc., and then of course you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so have a great day, and I look forward to connecting with you again.